Hello and welcome to the eSpatial training webinar. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. This webinar will cover the basics of the eSpatial software. We will be covering the following steps today: the library and workspace, styling, territories, the different analysis options available, and the routing tool in eSpatial. We will designate 10 minutes at the end of this webinar for any questions you may have. These questions can be asked through our in-app chat option. To begin, we will go to our eSpatial library window. As we can see here, we are now in the eSpatial library. On the left-hand side, we have a link to our help section, which brings you to numerous articles on all aspects of eSpatial and step-by-step guides on the different aspects of the eSpatial software. We also have our in-app support in the bottom right-hand side, where you can open up and begin a chat with us if you ever have any issues regarding the software. Under your username on the top right-hand side, we have our user settings. This is where you can check your daily data upload limits, such as dataset usage, map usage, daily geocodes, and your daily record uploads. The first tab we have open is our Workspace tab. It is best to think of a workspace as a project folder for all your maps that you have created. We also have our territories folder. This is the folder where any of your territories that you have created will be saved. The next tab over is our datasets tab. Any CSV or Excel file you upload are all saved as a dataset in this tab, as well as any of the eSpatial datasets you have used will also be saved in this tab. Our scheduled updates tab refers to automatic updates you may have with a CRM such as Zoho or Salesforce. That's if you have eSpatial integrated with this. Our final tab is our eSpatial data store. These are any datasets that eSpatial provide for you as the user. Okay, to begin, we will create a new workspace by selecting the New Workspace button on the top right-hand side of the screen. From here, you'll be prompted by the Add Data window, where you have three different options. The first is to upload new data, add data from the library, or import from Salesforce or Zoho. It must be noted when you are uploading your own data, it must be in CSV or Excel format. All the data must be on the first sheet, column headers must be in the first row, and columns must have a unique header and must contain one data type. For the purpose of this webinar, we will use the sample file that eSpatial provides. So if you simply just click on sample file, eSpatial will automatically use the settings from the last map you've created and pick up the location columns. So in this instance, it has picked up the address, the city, the county, the state, and the zip, and has also identified the region as the United States. You can easily change these settings by selecting the Change Settings button, where you can use different columns to be used for the location. You can also upload XY lat-long coordinates, and you can also link data to existing boundary sets. Once you are happy with your settings, click Complete and the data will be uploaded. Once it's complete, click Return to Map, and now we have our map window with all the data points we have just uploaded. It's very important in eSpatial to save and rename your workspaces as you go, just as you would with any day-to-day work. To rename a workspace, you do so by selecting the workspace in the top left-hand side of the window and pressing the Rename Workspace icon. So we will rename this as the Webinar Workspace. Again, if you want to rename your map, you do so in the same top left hand side of the screen. Select the pen icon and rename your map. So we will call this map 1. You can also rename any datasets you upload. This is done through the control panel on the left hand side by simply pressing the cog icon and rename. So we will call this webinar dataset. You can save and create versions of your map to keep historical changes or to allow multiple editions of the same map. This is done through the control panel on the left hand side by selecting the save icon. So you can save this map, so in this instance save it map number 1, or you can save it as a new map. So by pressing save as, a new map will be created. So map 2 in this case. If we now look to the right hand side of the screen, we'll take a look at the legend. The legend shows the different datasets that are currently in your map. So we have our webinar dataset. You can easily turn on and off datasets as you please by pressing the eye icon to hide a dataset. This will be removed from the map. And again, to turn it back on, simply press the icon again. You can also change the default base map from here. eSpatial provide a wide range of varying base maps available. The next part I'm going to show you is very handy for sifting through all your data. So for example, if you wanted to see the data that is in one particular state, you can do so by using our filtering option that is available through our table. The table is located in the bottom right hand side of the window, and you simply click on the icon to open it up. If you wanted to see the information in one particular state, we would navigate to the state column, select the icon, and select filter results. Now you can place a filter for certain information to display. So say for example, Florida and Georgia. Now we can see all the points in the dataset that are only in Florida and Georgia, while the other points on the map have been removed. This is also reflected in the table. So as we can see, there are only 11 data points showing up in the table. This table can also be exported as a CSV by simply pressing the export button, and it will be downloaded for you. A similar filter can be run using numerical values. So if we navigate to our value column, select the icon, filter results, we can change the values to display different ranges. So if we wanted to see values in upwards of 10,000, we would simply move the slider to reflect this on the map. Again, it will also be reflected in the table, which you can also export. To remove a filter, you simply press the X button on the right hand side. So what I've just gone through are the basics of the eSpatial map window. The next stage in the webinar is the different styling options available in eSpatial and how you can create maps similar to the maps on the screen at the moment. To open up our styling panel, we'd simply do so through the control panel on the left hand side by clicking Style. The default pin tab automatically opens up. Here you can change the default pin style, color, the transparency, the size, and the clustering. If you would like to add your own icon, you can do so by clicking on the Add Your Own Icon link. This will open an email in your default email app where you can attach a JPEG, a PNG, or an SVG file to be sent to eSpatial. All images must be of even width and height and in the range of 100 to 300 pixels. Next we have our labeling tab, where we have different options such as optimize labels, non-overlapping labels, and all labels. Again, you can change the column which is displayed by simply selecting the drop-down. You can also change the font color, positioning, etc. In eSpatial, you have the ability to display your data to be colored by a certain value. It will easily allow you to color the points based on their values. So for example, if we wanted to see all our leads or opportunities and who owns each lead and opportunity, we can select owner in the drop-down column. This colors each lead and opportunity by their owner, so we can clearly see, quickly visualize the coverage each owner has throughout the US and where changes might need to be made. So for example, April Jones has one lead or opportunity on the eastern coast, whereas the remainder of her leads and opportunities are located in central US. So this could lead to a change in ownership of this lead, perhaps giving it to Kimberly Garcia, whose leads and opportunities are in this region. Our next styling option will allow you for large value opportunity tracking. Each of our points are being sized by their value, so the larger the points, the higher the value. This kind of map helps you quickly analyze locations and owners of high value opportunities. It can also be used in conjunction with our color by value option, whereas our opportunities and leads are colored according to their owner and sized by their value. Next, you may want to create a map to easily identify areas of high values or by status using pins rather than size. And this is done using our symbol by value tab. As we can see, our leads and opportunities and prospects are all styled by a different symbol. So our leads are styled by a circular symbol, our opportunities a square one, and our prospects a triangular one. The final style option will allow us to create a density of opportunities map using the heat map tab. This kind of map helps to easily identify where there are high clusters of opportunities or high value leads, with the red areas indicating high density of opportunities. As I'm using a sample data set which includes opportunity and leads, you as users can upload your own data, such as customer locations, store locations, etc. This kind of map quickly identifies areas that are performing well compared to other areas and will allow you to visualize gaps in your market. The average density is the density of the data if it was equally distributed on the map. So these are the various style options available in eSpatial. Next, I'll be discussing territories and how to create different ones that can be used as your own defined regions. As you can see on the screen right now, this is what your basic sales territory could look like. There is also an image of a territory hierarchies where you can have up to 3 different levels, starting at national level, then down to regional, and then down to local level. If you'd like some more information on this feature, please get in contact with your CSM, Shane. Once we are back in the eSpatial window, if you would like to create a territory, it is done so using the territory builder. And this is located on the top right hand side of the eSpatial window. You can create territories using existing boundary datasets or by uploading a file with predetermined territories created. For the purpose of this webinar, we will create our territories manually. Once you select the region dataset you wish to use, so for example US states, US counties, zip codes, you select complete. Once you're in the territory builder, there are two ways to add a state to your territories. You can do so by clicking the plus icon. The states that you add will also be reflected in the new territories table. Another option we have is using a polygon feature, which is found on the right hand tab. You simply draw a polygon around the states that you wish to add to your territory. Once you are happy with your territory, you can rename it on the right hand side using the edit option. We will call this East Coast, or West Coast even. To add a new territory, you select the Add Territory button, and a new territory will be added to the tab. Again, you can add your states. And again, rename it on the tab on the right hand side. And again, add territory to create our final territory. And again, rename it on the right hand side. While you are creating your territories in the territory builder, eSpatial will save them automatically. And if you wish to rename your territory, you can do so on the control panel on the left hand side by selecting the cog icon and rename. So webinar territories. You can create these territories as you like and at the different levels you want. Once they are created, they are saved in your library to be added to any workspace or map. Next, we will discuss the various analysis tools available, such as creating a regional heat map, which can be used to create a map that summarizes, for example, the total number of sales by state, or to create a radius map to find your closest customers to your office locations. Once in eSpatial, you can navigate to the workspace you were working on. So I'll navigate to the library and our webinar workspace. Our Analyze option is available through the control panel on the left-hand side. In this case, I will show you how to create a regional heat map. A regional heat map will summarize values in the dataset by regions on the map based on summarized data values. Initially, it will be based on counts within each region. So, select Regional Heat Map. Select the points dataset you wish to use, so our webinar dataset, and select the region dataset that we are going to use. So we select the Add Dataset option. You can add any eSpatial datasets that we provide or any datasets you've created. So for example, the webinar territories dataset we just created can be used in this instance. But for the example, we will use US states. Once you are happy, press complete. As I mentioned, initially it will default to the count. So we can see, for example, Florida is colored in the red as it has 5 or greater counts in this state. This can also be viewed by clicking on the state itself. So as we can see, Florida has a count of 7 when compared to Montana, which has a count of 1, therefore it is shaded in the green. This kind of map will allow you to quickly visualize your coverage, areas where there are no leads or opportunities or low counts compared to the areas where there are higher counts. Again, we can get a summarized value by selecting the drop down on the right hand side. And again, this kind of map will allow you to visualize which states or areas are performing well compared to others. So as we can see, Texas and Florida are performing quite well as they are shaded red compared to states such as Montana and Wyoming, which are shaded in the lower value of green. You can clear or edit this regional heat map or save it as a new map by selecting Save As. So we will just clear it for now. Some of our other options include our bubble map, which will summarize using scaled icons based on an aggregate region value. We also have our nearest neighbor option, which will find a specified number of records in one dataset nearest to other records in another dataset. We also have our aggregate by value, which allows points datasets to be aggregated by values in a column of that same dataset. We also have our radius and drive time options, which have been updated in our latest release. And I will now run through our radius options. If you would like to create a map that will show a radius search showing records in one dataset within a given distance of records in another dataset, we will use the radius option. So for example, if you wanted to find customers within a 10-mile radius of your store. So you select a center point on your map and simply click on it. You'll be then brought to a pop-up where we select the buffer option followed by radius. We can have the radius coming from this center point, or you can select it to work for all points in this dataset. We will use this point only for the example. You set your distance. If you want to have a multiple buffer on, you can simply press the add radius button and a second radius will be added. So we'll select 100 miles. Once you're happy with your distances, press done. And we have our 2 radii buffers on the map. You may want to filter out the information to only show the points that fall within these searches. To do so, you would simply click on the radius itself, select the filter option and the dataset you want to filter the information from. So the webinar dataset in this case. As we can see, all the other remaining points on the map have been filtered out. So all we have are 4 remaining points visualized on the map. This is also reflected in the table, which can also be exported as a CSV. To remove the filter, you simply press the X button like before, and the filter is removed and the map is repopulated. A similar kind of buffer can be run using the drive time option, which will show data that falls in a certain driving distance of a center point. So in the image in the top right, we have 2 buffers, a 50-minute buffer in the green and a 100-minute buffer in the red. If you'd like more information regarding getting access to this feature, again, please get in contact with your CSM, Shane. The next and final aspect of eSpatial will illustrate how users can reduce costs, improve fuel efficiency, and increase the number of customers you can serve by using our routing tool. I will first remove the buffers we created previous. So to create a route in eSpatial, we'd simply go to the control panel on the left hand side and select routing. So there are three ways you can add points to your route. Similar to the territory builder, each point will be given a little plus icon. So to add this to the route, you would select the plus and it will be added to your route. You can also add an address by pressing the add address option, where you can manually drop a pin on the map, or you can type in the address search bar. And our other option is our multi-add option. This drag and drop option will allow you to create a square, and any of the points that fall within this square will be added to the route. And you can use a combination of each of the methods to add your points. We have a round trip and an optimized option available in eSpatial. And eSpatial will automatically pick the starting and finishing points along your route. However, if you wish to change these, you can do so by simply clicking on a point on the map, and you'll be given a pop-up with the options to start here, finish here, or to remove the stop completely. Once you're happy with your route, you would simply press the Get Route button, and the route will be generated. So now our route is visible on eSpatial, and the steps and directions involved are visible on the right hand side panel. If you ever want to edit a route, you would simply click the Edit button option, and this will bring you back to the previous window where you can add and remove points. Once you're happy with your route, you can export it. You can export it using Google Maps, which will give you a URL which will open up in Google. So if you wish to share it with somebody else, you can simply copy and paste this link. You can export the stops as a CSV. So each of the stops along the route will be exported into a CSV and will contain all the information you have in eSpatial, such as contact numbers, the address itself, etc. You can also view the map in PowerPoint. So you can view this current map, or you can view all the maps that you have created in this workspace. Again, like any of the maps you created, you can print the maps. You can print the map itself, or if you have a route, you can print the steps involved along the route. Once I exit, you have the option again in eSpatial to share your map by selecting the Share Map option once the map is saved. You can share this publicly, and you can choose whether to include the table or not by selecting the checkbox. Once you're happy, you select Done, and a URL will be generated. This URL can be shared publicly for anyone you want to view the map. They will not be able to make any changes to the map itself, but they will only be able to view it and view the table if you allow them to do so. So this brings us to the conclusion of the webinar, and I hope you all found it very beneficial. We will now take 10 minutes for any questions you may or may not have. Thank you.